Good morning or afternoon, everyone. I'm your host today. I'm Kimberly Gale, the Regional Director for the Minority Business Assistance Center. So welcome. If you could introduce yourself in the chat button, chat area, and just let us know your name and also what company you represent, that would be grateful. I'm excited about this course today. It is important that our businesses really understand the technology side of things. And so we have a great instructor today that's going to lead us through our journey today. And so how this will work is that we're going to introduce Chester Robinson as our instructor today. And then we'll turn it over to him and he's going to do a presentation. And feel free to put any questions in the chat box. And so we'll, at any time, and we will actually answer your questions throughout the PowerPoint presentation. If you are new to the MBAC Center, you definitely can catch us at cul.org/MBAC, where you can also get other recording webinars and classes that we have done virtually. Just know that MBAC has your back. That's our slogan. And we can help you with technical assistance as far as free counseling services. If you need assistance with access to capital, we are supporting other grant initiatives right now. So if you need assistance with funds related to losing a part of your financial revenue due to COVID-19, we can possibly help you with that. We also help you with preparing for certifications. So if you are interested in the MBE Edge certification, and now coming forward will be the WBE certification, we can walk you through that entire process. In fact, Chester Robinson, we helped him as he prepared for his MBE Edge certification as well. So he is certified now, and now he's giving back to the MBAC Center by providing his expertise. So if anyone could just in the chat box say hello, welcome everyone. If you're just logging on, just put in the chat box who you are, what company you represent, so Chester can get an idea who is in the virtual conference today. And then we'll get started. So let's talk a little bit about Chester. He's a native of Columbus and attended Columbus State and Franklin University, holding degrees in programming technology and management information systems science. He also has a master's degree in information systems from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Chester's professional experience includes more than 30 years as a technology professional. As a technologist, his focus is on application infrastructure, which includes websites, mobile apps, and numerous technology platforms, and uses the latest software development methodologies. He has worked in the banking industry, state government, and for a Fortune 100 company here in Columbus. And finally, Chester is also an adjunct instructor for Columbus State and Franklin University. He loves educating and giving back to his community. So without further ado, Chester, why don't you just come online and let us know what we'll be talking about today. And we'll let you walk through the presentation, so welcome. So I say all that to say about his bio, so he's a really smart guy.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say that the folks here at MBAC are wonderful. They help me get through my certification. They can help you get through your certification process. Does take a little time to get everything all together, but once you get that process up and running, getting the certification should be pretty easy for you. So I'd like to introduce myself, Chester Robinson. My company is called Business Information Technology Services. Now that's a mouthful, so I reduced it down to bits. So it's easy for everyone to kind of understand the organization. It's almost like converting it to the short term for IBM. So I basically took all that and just converted it down. So it's a lot easier for you to remember. So as we're going through this process of talking about e-commerce sites, I'd like to just kind of fill in my background a little bit. Again, basically what Kimberly had just said earlier about the things I've done. There are numerous technologies that are out there, and what can make it beneficial for you to build your e-commerce websites. So when you're looking at professionals, please make sure you look at their credentials and see what they can do for you. And they're not a fly-by-night organization, okay? So let's get started. A little bit about my company. I work with small to mid-sized organizations. I do customized technologies and solutions, building websites, e-commerce websites mostly, and then we help kind of target your website to your customers so we can actually keep you in focused on your business. The other thing is we also do make sure that if you do have competitors, we'll go out and evaluate those competitors for you, get some history about them, and then basically build your website to be more optimized, better than your competitors, make sure that you have unique branding and so forth. There's a lot of things that's going to be going on with that. Also taking a look at your search engine opportunities and getting your brand out there in your web e-commerce site noticed with the traffic that is needed for your client base. So let's get started. Running an e-commerce business. I've been doing this for quite some time, seeing this from private companies, state organizations, and so forth. And one of the things that you have to understand when you're building this e-commerce business for yourself is do the research and think about the business model that you're going to be in. Now, in the past, we had, normally it's brick and mortar stores where you have your products or services that you render to your clients or customers. The business model has changed dramatically. So when you're doing your research on moving toward an e-commerce website, make sure the model fits with what you're working with. You may want to have a hybrid model where you have a business, brick and mortar business, and also an online business, or you may want to be just truly online. Now, when you're looking at these models, you can search the internet and take a look at a whole bunch of e-commerce business models that are out there. Really focus on what your business is about. Finding that e-commerce niche, finding that unique niche for you that will set you apart from your competitors. If you don't have a niche, find something that is something that you're not going to be too competitive with a lot of other competitors out there, because there's going to be price wars, things of that nature that you might have to look at. So just take a look at the niche that you want to fit in and see your competitors that you're going to be up against. Make sure you're capable of meeting that niche within that niche market within there. Then validate your market, target market, and the products and the ideas that you have. Now, one of the things I think that is very important is that you look for, if you are a person that has the skills in marketing, products, certain services, and so forth, you may not need to reach out to other professionals to help you, but I strongly recommend that you do reach out to other professionals that help you, guide you down the right path and getting your products and meeting the right market demands for your sites and so forth. One other thing that I think that is also important is make sure that you register your e-commerce business. Now, one of the things I think that causes issues is that people will walk in and say, how do I get my business started? How do I get my product and brand out there? What do I need to do? So one of the steps is basically when you're registering your company, get that all together first. The other thing is when you're doing this and you've figured out your company's name and your branding, uh, one of the things that you need to do is register that domain, register that website that you need, that you're going to be doing your business with. Now, you can register obviously more than one, but something that really focuses on your business and the branding, okay? The other thing is finalizing your e-commerce business plan. This is basically taking that model, the niche, and all your products and putting that business plan together so you can see what you're going to need to set up your business, set up that e-commerce business. Then create your online store. We'll talk about this in just a moment, but figure out how you're going to create your store. See how you're going to track the products and services that you're going to be offering. And then finally, start attracting customers to come to your e-commerce site. Now, these are just basic steps that needs to be done first before you really start pulling forward with developing your e-commerce and getting that strong strategy plan together. I
Hey,
just want to,
Chester,
yes, ma'am.
just a question in the chat box. How
Mm-hmm,
do you, so once I get all of these things completed, how do I know to select? Is a lot of web designers out there. There's a lot of competition in terms of, figuring out who can do my e-commerce site for
mm-hmm,
me. How do you select? How do you know how to select the right one? Because it can't just be based only on price. And I know people who would just say, well, they're the cheapest, I'll just go with them. How do we know what questions to ask in finding that right person to build our e-commerce site?
and that's a perfect question, and it leads up to where my next slide, selection step. These are typical. There are more companies out there, but these are usually the companies that help build your e-commerce sites. They have these built-in tools that allow you to, drag and drop and place things into your new e-commerce site. Now, Squarespace, Weebly, Shopify, excuse me, GoDaddy, um, WooCommerce. These are all companies that gives you tools to allow you to build your e-commerce site yourself, or you could use some of their professional staffing to do that. Now, Bits, which is my company, falls under customized software, and we use similar tools that these other companies used as well. The one thing I strongly recommend is when you're trying to select an organization to do your website, they should provide you a brief understanding of how they do business. That is one thing that is very, very important. One of the other things you need to read is their contracts and their agreements. That's another thing that I'm going to talk about in just a few moments about how to go about doing that. So again, doing your research on these companies, go to their websites, go read about the company, their structures, read their agreements, see how they do things. Because there are a few times, and I'll give you a scenario in just a moment, of folks who built their business and they realized that at first, the cost is very inexpensive to get on board. And later on, they start seeing small increases in the price of their monthly bill. Plus, if you're an e-commerce website, which you're now have a shopping cart and you're doing electronic transactions such as credit card payments and so forth, you start seeing fees built up on that as well. And now all of a sudden, your $29.99 a month is now going to be $59.99 a month. So you have to start watching out for these increases that may come along after their promotional sale that they get you into from that point. So be aware of that when you're looking at that. Please look at the contracts. For my organization, I present you a no frills, upfront, pretty simple contract that says this is what we're going to do. This is the price that we're agreeing to build your system. And if there's any other additional fees or anything like that, that we will address those at that point in time, but everything is upfront from the most part. There's no hidden fees or anything like that. Plus, once you purchase or we build your website for you, this is another thing that's different from these other folks that I have up here for selection. One of the thing is you own the site with me. Your site belongs to you. Once we go through the build process and the transaction of payment, that site belongs to you. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. With these other companies here, such as Weebly, Squarespace, and so forth, GoDaddy, if you use one of their tools, you may be locked in to that tool, that particular tool, and you may not own that website per se. You won't own it. It's just a tool for you to use. So your images, your pictures may be your own intellectual property, but the framework of how that e-commerce site works is not yours. You're renting that. So please be advised when you're looking at how to, who you're going to be with these particular organizations and using their types of tools. Are there any questions on what I just explained here that you might, that anyone may want to ask?
I don't have any other questions in the chat box so far.
Okay. Hopefully, Kimberly, did that kind of answer your question as well?
Absolutely, for sure.
So let's keep going here. One of the other things is when you're looking at these companies, not saying that they're not good companies and they don't perform great services for you, is that you just have to be very selective on what your vision of your organization is going down. So you have to forecast what your business, if your business is going to have small to minimum growth, you may want to still stay with Weebly, Squarespace, or Shopify. But as your business starts to grow and starts to be a little bit more robust, and you want changes done to your site to make it even better and so forth, you're locked into these tools or these frameworks that may not be as flexible as going to a customized organization that can actually customize the code to do what you need. So I'm just going to provide you a diagram here, understanding the services and the tools. So if you're looking at GoDaddy, Squarespace, Weebly, any of these, they're going to have, the tools are going to be pretty easy. They're going to be flexible. They're going to have some integration. Obviously going to have inventory control. This is going to be important for you to understand. You're going to have to manage your inventory. And this is one thing that I run into with some of my my clients as well, is that they don't understand that inventory back end process of managing that with your e-commerce website. So if you're having two separate inventory systems and your shopping cart, people are buying your products and so forth, and you're not synchronizing those inventories, what's on your website versus what's in your warehouse, this could be a problem. So again, the synchronization of these tools may not, they'll synchronize it on the website, but they may not synchronize the back end process on your main inventory system. So that's another thing you may want to work on as well. The other thing is that payment processing. Now, if you're looking at payment processing, you may have to utilize, maybe you have a vendor that you would like to use, but when you're using these tools that are set by these organizations, Weebly, GoDaddy, and so forth, you're going to be using their payment system. So you say if you chose that you like Square to be integrated in there, they may be using something completely different, and you're kind of stuck into their fees and charges of how they processes your transactions. So again, all of that's going to be flexible. It's going to be easy to get started very quickly, but they may not have the proper things or tools that you may want to use within there. You're stuck with their tool set. Support for them, obviously, they're going to have a 1-800 number for your support. They'll help you out with that. But if you need any further modifications to their template or to their website for their e-commerce, you may have to pay extra for that. Okay.
This is great, Chester. So in other words, we should probably research what other integrated tools that they use. So for example, like you said, if they're how they accept payments, MasterCard, credit card, if it's through Square or Stripe or
Mm-hmm.
PayPal, or the integrations that we may already have, or just also researching those different tools. Did I get clarity? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, let's take just a quick example. You have a brick and mortar store that you're doing your sales. You're now implementing an e-commerce website, and you're using a particular vendor. Let's just say Visa. You're using the Visa payment system, and your website may not. Your hosting services, which could be Square and so forth, Weebly, so forth, may not utilize that payment system. They utilize their own payment system. So they're going to have their own different charges and things like that. And you're used to another charge here. So now you're getting double charged in a sense
Okay.
from the Visa company, and then say from Weebly, which is using Square, then you're getting these different charges. So again,
Okay.
those are the things that you have to start worrying, looking at and saying, why am I absorbing these costs from my brick and mortar? Now I have this additional cost for my e-commerce site. So
The-
again, just these are things that you need to start looking at. This helps you build that strong infrastructure for both parts of your business. Okay.
So there was another question about what's a good inventory software um, for small businesses. I don't know if you covered that, but that's one question. And then
Okay.
the other question is, do you offer site management services after you set up the site? So I'll flip that question and say, do these um, hosts like Shopify and all them, do they provide site management services as well?
Yes and no. uh, yes, they do offer management services of your site, but remember, you're renting their site. So they're going to maintain it. They're going to make sure it's up and running. They're going to do all of that good stuff for you, but they're not going to manage your inventory. They're not going to manage your product lines. They're not going to do any, because that's your business. They're going to provide you the infrastructure to run that, but they're not going to manage all of those services for you. So that's going to be part of the support of their tool. But you have to remember, it's your business. They're just giving you the framework to run your e-commerce site on. Inventory software. There are tons of inventory software that's out there. One of them, WooCommerce, is a inventory tracking system that can be integrated into most websites. They actually have a shopping cart functionality built in. And I've dealt with WooCommerce with customized software with this. So I'll talk a little bit about this in a moment. But usually that's going to be up to you, what's on your business, what is going to be the best e-commerce inventory tracking system. You're going to have to kind of do that research. You can also refer back to professionals like myself to say, this meets all of my needs for right now. Then I may come back with you, and I may be a little bit of a devil's advocate and say, okay, where you see yourself in 5 years, will this product work for you? So you may want to think a little bit, stay small, or you may want to go with a more robust inventory type system. I've seen people that track their inventory systems in an Excel spreadsheet. Wow, but they do it pretty well. But one of the things that, I think you need something that automates, that feeds all of this, so you don't have to do a lot of manual check-in on your products. So a more automated inventory system will be a little bit better. So let's go ahead and move forward with this. Now, I'm talking about developer companies such as myself that does the offering. So again, we'll try to make it easy for you to interface with your websites and so forth. The back end is going to be a little bit difficult because of the type of tools that we may use for coding, the programming languages behind that. But we'll have a nice interface for you to go in and update anything you want. But from a coding perspective, that may be a little bit more difficult from the back end. Flexibility, a lot of flexibility with designing customized code around your business. Organizations such as myself will sit down, take the time to really research and understand what you're doing. With the other companies, they're going to say, well, you just need to drag and drop, place what you need on your website. You're your own marketer, you're your own designer, and so forth. We'll sit down here. I have designers, a design team. We'll sit down with you and help you design your website, customize it to make it look the way you want with color schemes and things of that nature. Integrations. We use a lot of third-party products to integrate within your website. We'll tell you each one of the products that may be of more value to you. So for example, we may want to integrate Square into your website. One thing that we'll do is we verify, and this is very important, and please check this with any developing company that is out there. We check for security measures to make sure that when we're integrating with a product such as Square and their inventory tracking system, that your site is secure and that communication between the back end is secure. Those other companies, they're going to have their secure things, not saying that they do not, but they're going to have their own security methods and so forth. Well, we'll go through and show you and design the security around your products, okay? Inventory control systems. Again, this is part of the third-party package. So Square has its own inventory tracking system that will update your website automatically when sales happen. So you will automatically know on the front and the back end where your inventory is at all times, and actually sends an indicator to you. We put something in the software that sends an indicator to you and says, okay, your your quantity of this amount is very low, and we'll send a notification to you. Plus, we may say sold out on the website for that particular product once it reaches a certain threshold or a level. That's the basics with customization of software. We can also utilize third-party plugins based upon the organization or the company that you use, software vendor that you use for that. If they support plugins, we may do that, or we may have to do some customization around that. And then payment systems. We work with a PayPal, Square, Stripe, any of those that have plugins or what we call APIs. We can work with those and put those within your site as well. So you get a lot of flexibility, customization, and so forth. For us, support is optional. Now, when you're working with a company such as mine, we will offer you a ongoing maintenance support agreement, which you can contact us if your site's down. Now we put in place, and this is a cost, we put in place where we monitor your site. Things come, alerts prompt our company to say, oh, something's wrong with the site. There's some maintenance going on, whatever may happen. We're on it. We'll notify you if there's an emergency, if there's just a minor maintenance. We have things in place that allows the site to still run during that time in that process, so you're not down. Our company also provides hosting services as well. So we're a one-stop shop. We'll do everything for you, get your domain, all that good stuff. With your other companies, leads into this, understanding the agreement, what you need to know. Full ownership of your store and content and your data forever? Who owns that? If you're using any of the other ones like Weebly, Shopify, um, any of those other companies, GoDaddy, the data belongs to you. But you have to read these agreements. You need to understand the content may be yours, the data may be yours, but the framework of the website may not be yours. Okay, so then that means that they'll give you the data, they'll give you your content back, but you have no website. So you have to start all over again. Who has the full ownership of the domain? If they got the domain for you, they have to transition that domain over to you. Okay. So again, this can be very complicated if your company is growing and you want to move away or migrate off of their platforms. It could be very difficult for you to do that. All right, so you kind of get locked in a little bit, but you have to be aware that there may be some additional costs that you may have to occur in transitioning or canceling out of using these services. Please read the agreement. Please understand how this works when you're using these other types of services. The other thing, a short story here. I had a customer approach me, and they were on a similar service. And what happened is that the monthly fees were killing them, and they wanted to build their own, have their own hosting, which was going to reduce their cost substantially every month throughout the year. And they got the data, they got the content, but they had no website framework. So they came to me and I said, yeah, I see the data, I can recreate your databases, I can do all of this stuff for you. This is how much it's going to cost to do this. And they said, well, why can't you just copy it from the other site? I said, well, that's proprietary to that particular company, and I can't have access to that. I have to build this from scratch for you and recreate that site so so you can actually get your business up and running and minimize your costs. So those are the types of things you have to start really thinking about. Again, who owns the content, who owns that store, your data, the domain, because you're going to have to they have to transition that domain over to your new service that you're now going to own. That's going to be could be a problem for you. Cancellation, there could be fees for that, and transfer sites to another service. Some companies do offer that, other companies do not. Okay, and one of the things is that that's exclusive proprietary to their company. With our services, it's your website, everything belongs to you. So and if you want us to migrate it over to another hosting service, we can do that as well. Recreate the database, do all that stuff. Changing to your own hosting service. So say you come back off of Weebly and then you want to go over to, let's say, GoDaddy. You're going to manage it, you're going to handle all of that stuff. Changing over to hosting services may not be a problem. Getting those domains transferred over to you, getting your content and your database information, meaning your shopping cart information, all that history and everything, migrated over to there. You may have to hire someone, such as my company, to come in there and do that for you. That could be very tedious, complex, and for the most part, you're trying to run a business and not try to be an IT professional from that standpoint. Are there any questions on this? I really want to make sure that the folks are really understanding what I've said. If I kind of glanced over it or didn't hit anything that that you need to know.
This is great, Chester, because I think that this is the kind of information that a lot of people miss, especially when it comes to maintaining websites and understanding that most of the flight has always been just get a website up. But the details behind it, especially from an e-commerce perspective, you're giving us all the nuggets that we need, because at the end of the day, your hope is, I would hope that your long-term goal would be to increase your products. And what happens if you get an overflow and then you want to, or even if you want to shift and change your branding and go to another website, all of that's going to
Hmm.
be important. And I think it's not just from the sounds of it, if you don't understand some of the details you just listed, about your data and owning your domain and the service fees behind all of this, transferring that, it may be difficult for you. It'd be eye opener to go to
Right,
someone like yourself and then expect it to not have any costs associated to doing all those things. So thank
right.
you for giving us the backdrop and the details behind the
Right.
challenges if you want to make those changes.
And one of the things that I think that um, you'll start to understand when you're paying these monthly fees to these organizations that help, I mean, and it may be worth it to you to do this. Now, take this as your business model. It may be worth, you know, you're paying, say, 29.99 to, 39.99 a month for these services that they offer and building your e-commerce websites and so forth. And that may be cost effective to you. But as you're growing and as you're going down that long process of developing your e-commerce footprint, there may be limitations that you may see. And I'll give you a quick example. The scenario that I gave you earlier, this organization was paying roughly about $3,000 a year for their e-commerce website. Their domain, all of that was wrapped up and bundled up into that service. And that is basically what it cost, a one-time cost for me to build it may be a little cheaper than that, but for me to build a website for you. Um, you know, websites, and you take a look at the pricing. E-commerce websites can range from 1,500, 3,000 to 5,000 based upon how complex your web services are. But there could be just a one-time cost and then your hosting service cost, and that should be it. With these other services, you're going to have ongoing costs no matter what, and that can really add up for you. Now, again, the maintenance, there may be an annual maintenance cost that you may occur with an organization like mine to help go in there and do all that maintenance for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Um, Theirs is kind of baked in, but then they don't offer flexibility. If you want to move your site or anything like that, you won't be able to do that. That may be an additional cost, or they just say, here's your data, and you might have to hire somebody. You have to kind of look at this long-term strategy of where you think you want to be and how you want to manage your e-commerce site and who you want to manage it. Again, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be cost effective, and then there's a lot of things you're going to be kind of like wasting your money on. So those are the things that you have to kind of leverage between services, and then customized services that just once we're done with your creating your website, it is yours. No more fees. There's no other monthly fees or anything like that unless there's some type of maintenance agreement. But other than that, that's it. So it could be a one-time cost for you in the long run. Okay. One thing you need to understand as well, and this is important no matter who you go through, the technology that they're using, make sure it's not antiquated technology. Um, and this will be another seminar. We'll probably talk about webinar where we'll talk about the softwares and different software tools and things like that may need, so you can be prepared for giving these companies good. When you're interviewing them, you can have these questions available to them, and if if they can answer those um, and prove to you, then you're going to be in good shape. Technology, procedures, policies, securities, and the benefits of using those services. All of that's going to be laid out. Should be laid out for you on their business plan or in their agreement of how they're going to be able to support your e-commerce website or what they're going to be able to deliver to you. So today, just quick overview here. There's going to be 9 steps that I think that you should be aware of, and that's customizing web development. Some some organizations, Weebly and all of those other ones, they're going to, when they cost, it will cost you to customize. That's an additional cost. We customize up front. So again, there's different ways that's baked into the pricing of our web services versus this could be additional cost. Design, it's either you can design it yourself or we'll design it for you. Building the UX interface and design, they may have services to do that, but it could be limited to what their templates and so forth are. You can come to an organization like mine. We'll customize it and get it the way you want it. If we need to change some things, we are flexible to do that. Online marketing. This is going to be looking at your search engine optimizations and things that are around there. With most services that you're going through, say, you know, Squarespace, or excuse me, Shopify and so forth, and Squarespace and so forth, they may help you get these search engine optimizations set up, but they're controlling that. That could be an additional fee. We try to bake that into our pricing where we can add all of that in there. Looking at logos, premium logos. Again, they may have a template where you can select from different logos. We customize them to your company. If you have a specific logo, we'll deal with that. Support and software structure. Both organizations offer that. It's just a level of support that you're willing to pay for. So one thing with bring your own hosting. My organization does not matter what hosting platform you're on. Our technical team can handle pretty much any of these platforms and work with those platforms to get your website up and running or maintain it for you. So our company allows you to bring your own hosting to us. We'll manage it for you. If we can monitor it in a certain way, we will. We'll be able to do that. Other companies or or tools that you use, you have to work with them to do that, and you can't bring. They will not use other hosting services. You will have to migrate or be on their hosting services. We, as my organization, doesn't care about that. We can monitor and host anything. Technology recommendations. With those services, you don't get there. You're using their technology. When you're using a organization such as mine, we'll recommend technology recommendations to you. If we figure that you need to go to Weebly or Squarespace or something like that, we're neutral. We want to make sure that you're happy as a customer, and we'll recommend whatever technology that is going to suit your needs. And then again, training solutions. Now, a lot of organizations have training videos out there. We will be having some as well, but we like to do face-to-face type training. So due to COVID and so forth, we are going to probably be offering virtual training sessions in the near future. All right. So placing the power in your hands. One of the things that I think that is very important to you when you're building your e-commerce website is, do you have the power to change and manipulate and do what you need to do to keep your business growing? You may have that opportunity with some of those other organizations, but with a more private type or development type firm, we do allow you to have the most capabilities, putting that power in your hands, because once we deliver a product to you, we'll do the training, get everything ready for you to set up. We'll train your staff on running that. If you have a particular staff member that's going to be your IT professional or your web designer that's going to handle your website, we'll train them. So again, Weebly, Squarespace and so forth, they're not going to be able to do that for you. We will be able to do that for you. Hands-on experience, putting that power in your hands for that. Learning, this is where we want to see the technology and the learning curve. This is where I think you need to start to really understand where you're going to be in the next 3 to 5 years, how your business is going to be growing. So again, this is going to be a strong avenue for your company if you want to hire in somebody to do this, or you want to, use our services or other services that are out there. Just make sure that they are that business meets your needs. Ask questions about it. Ask them any type of question. Insurance questions. Is their company bonded? If their company is not bonded, I might not want to do business with them. Okay, so make sure that these small, simple things, just because they're an LLC, if they're not insured, you may not want to deal with them. So again, these are things that you need to keep in mind when you're looking for organizations to do your e-commerce websites and so forth. All right. Getting familiar with the process. So what we want you to do is master that ability to understand by doing your research, by gathering the vendors that you're wanting to use. Get familiar with that process of how they do it. Do they all do it the same way? Are there a few things that are a little bit different? Getting that experience to understand how your business is going to work, that's going to be important. My organization will walk you through that process to help you get to that point of achieving that goal. If you look at these other services, they help you somewhat by having other series of information. Could be webinars or paid services to do that. So again, that's kind of built into some of our pricing. But if you need other personalized coaching on technology and understanding how to optimize your e-commerce website, we offer that as well. Okay. You do have to remember, if you're not going to spend time on this, you need to make sure that you have someone in your business that is going to be dedicated to understanding and maintaining your e-commerce website. So again, we put our best work forward for you. So again, this is just a list of the things that we have: technical requirements, UI design, user experience. We try to make it easy for you, and then associate every fundamental practices with making sure that your marketing is going to meet your clients' needs, meaning the search engine optimizations and so forth. Now, this is again a view from, and please take this as in context, this is a view of what private companies such as mine will do, and Weebly and those other companies, they may not do this for you. So again, or this is an additional fee. So again, you just have to start looking at that. Sometimes low prices doesn't mean this is where it's going to be at all the time, because there could be additional fees. There could be other fees for doing these interfaces or building these add-ons for you and so forth. Just make sure that you're prepared for this. One thing I find that most businesses starting out do not understand is that technology gets expensive. Where you want your organization to be is where you want to put that effort and put that money into that. If you have a great e-commerce website, you spent money on it, I'm pretty positive that it's going to deliver a good profitability and yield for you. Now, if you go with something a little less, it may not be as profitable for you, or you may be dumping more money into that. So again, getting the right platform, spending that money up front will help you in the long run get it right the first time, instead of reinventing it each and every time when you're transitioning from vendor to vendor. Technology designs and logos. So this is just a sample of some of the things that are out there for you and that you may hear about through these vendors. what technologies they use behind it, how they do the designing of your logos and the brand and the design, the technology such as HTML5, CSS, Bootstrap. You may hear things. If you hear these type of things in there, they're pretty much on current technology. They're using frameworks and different things like that. So just keep that in mind when you want to ask questions to folks that are out there that you may be interested in doing their website. They're doing their website for you. Ask them these types of questions. What type of HTML or CSS do you use? Are you familiar with these content management systems? These type of questions will prompt the folks that you've done your research and that they can't pull any wool over your eyes. Okay, I want to make sure that my customers are well educated, and even if they don't use my service, I want to make sure that they're not getting um, frauded, in a sense. That's a strong word, but taken advantage uh, of just because they say they can do this. So getting close to wrapping this up. One thing I want to make sure that folks understand, technology, this can be very personal to you because it's wrapped around your business. E-commerce is basically a representation of your company and what it's going to deliver. There are going to be challenges to that. There may not be the time where you can where you expect things to work in a certain way. There are always going to be challenges getting this project started for you to build the e-commerce site. There may be a lot of steps that you have to pre-do ahead before you can move forward to getting it built. Set realistic expectations. This is for you and the vendor. This is where you need to understand that to achieve that goal and mastery of your e-commerce website is not going to happen overnight. This is not going to be something that will just miraculously start working for you. So again, this is going to be a process that you need to understand and set realistic goals on how you're going to deliver, and with your vendor, how you're going to get this e-commerce website up and running. And then keep your eye on the goal. Have a strong partnership with the organization that you're working with. That's going to be the key to making sure you have a good, well-designed e-commerce website and a good professional relationship with the person that's doing it with you, because that's going to be the important part of continued success, or it could be failure on the part of the not getting that proper communication in place. So with that, just real quickly, if this is my information, who's who, if you want to reach out to me or my organization, there's my email address and then my customer service address and where our business is located. Since during COVID, we're working remote, so please feel free to contact me via phone or email, and we can talk to you on whatever your e-commerce needs are. So are there any questions?
This was great, Chester. I did put your email in a chat button.
Oh.
So for those who are still on the call, please put your questions in the chat box before we end. This was such great information, Chester. I think, one of the things as an entrepreneur support organization, when we put a little tough topics out there, it's difficult because people are like, I don't understand technology, or it can be so cumbersome. I think today, you broke down a lot of concepts and things that we need to be really paying attention to, and it was easy to understand. And so I definitely thank you for that. For those of you who are on a call, this will be recorded. We will send out the recording along with a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. And so forward to your other business owners or people that you knew that may need this information, because it will be available on demand on our YouTube channel as well. So I don't really see any more questions in the chat box. There will be also a survey that will go out to you as well. Please fill it out. That allows us to let us know how well the presentation went today, but also any additional comments and concerns that we can address. Chester, this is not going to be his only webinar as far as technology. We're going to be doing some future ones. And so if you make sure you check our We Care e-newsletter that goes out to you once a week to look forward to the next sessions, okay? And that's all I got, Chester.
That's all I have as well.
All right, we thank you so much for helping us put this seminar on today. And for everyone else, you have a great afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. So have a great day.